In the building, Teona, wine about the region, where we talk about government and the politics behind it, nonprofit and the people behind it, business and the money behind it. Let's go, T.
Let's go. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to Bill and Teona, Wine About the Region. If you have any ideas or topics or people to interview for the show or interested in advertising or sponsoring the show, message us at Facebook BT Winery or email us at btwinery@gmail.com.
Now, I do want to say we do got some big weeks coming up. How about you tell the folks real quick about like what we got coming up next week around gun violence? But let's jump in that real quick.
We are going to have Ella Jones is going to come and join us.
Ella.
She is a candidate for mayor in Ferguson. And actually, we're going to talk to some teenagers and some young ladies that have had their boyfriends killed because of gun violence. I have the mentality of we get in rooms and we talk about gun violence, but sometimes the people in the room are not even the people that are shooting each other or dealing with the gun violence. So I want the people at the table that are young and that are out here that are losing people, you know, it's just to get in their mind, like, why do you guys feel like you have to shoot each other?
Right.
Like, what's the problem? I know the problem from the 90s. I know, like, Crips and Bloods, and you know, Bill, how it used to go down in the 90s. But it done got way out of control.
Now, just so folks know, we have a real great show today.
Yes.
We got Mr. Rasheen Aldridge here.
As our guest.
So I don't know if you want to jump in on what she was talking about.
Yeah, gun violence.
Our co-host.
What do you think?
No, I'm happy y'all having that conversation. Like you say, it's really, I mean, crime is on the rise, and we, you know, sometimes we have politicians in the room and the big wigs and organizations, but to get to the root of it, bring the community in and actually have those real conversations of what's going on. So I'm excited to hear what's going on next week and listen to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me as y'all co-host.
Rasheen, you are honorary. Rasheen started out with us. He started from the bottom.
We'll be with just a little podcast.
And now we're here.
Here we go.
So you can always walk in here and just get on the mic.
I say no more.
So next Saturday, well, the other things we have coming up is the impeachment of Trump.
Well, I mean, we kind of want to recap this week a little bit. We've had the impeachment inquiry that is underway, which is a huge deal. I'm sure our future Attorney General over there has been paying attention to that.
Woo-hoo! Beaver! Oh, sorry. Okay.
We had our first day with a little bit of snow on Thursday.
It wasn't a lot, but I was kind of like, what's going on? What's up with this?
All right.
I thought we was going to get more, though. They made it seem like it was crazy.
Yeah, it was just a couple flurries. This weekend we got daylight savings time, right? So we got to move our clocks. What is it? It's spring forward and fall back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had a really good meeting yesterday with Pascal. He's dope.
Yeah, the Pascal show. My man Pascal is a cool guy.
He is dope. I like him. Well, what days is his show?
His show is here on WGNU 920. It is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's the new time.
Yeah,
10 a.m.
check him
to
out
1 p.m.
sometime.
5 days
check
a week.
him out.
Monday through Friday.
He's doing big things.
Watch the Pascal show.
Yes.
All right, now let's go ahead and sort of get right to it. First, let me thank Paul Berry and the great folks over here at WGNU. Once again, we got my man Quentin behind the boards helping us out.
Before you get too far with that, can we say thank you to Kathy Ellis?
Oh, yes.
Kathy, we'd like to say thank you. We've never received an actual thank you card. I like to read it on the air. Dear Bill and Teona, thank you for inviting me to participate in the radio show. I had a great time with all of you at the station. You have a great format, and you and Bill are terrific hosts. I hope there will be a whole lineup of Dems that want to come on the show. Keep pushing for diversity. Thank you, Kathy. And Kathy mentioned on her show how I should have pearls. I guess she wants to change me. So when I went to Vicki England's kickoff, Terry Powers was there, and she gave me 2 sets of pearls. So this morning, I wore a set of my pearls. It really ain't me, Kathy, for real, but I wore these for you. So shout out to Kathy Ellis for mentioning that I needed to get some pearls because I got 2 sets of pearls. So somebody really want me to be all pearled up.
All right,
Bill, you here.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Like I said, I want to thank the good folks here over at WGNU 920 AM for the opportunity to talk to the community we all here care about.
Yes.
Now, we have some great guests today. Of course, we have our honorary co-host, Mr. Aldridge, here in the seat.
Who is on the ballot.
I am on the ballot.
November 5th, 78th District. Come on now.
All right.
So you got it easy. Everybody say you got it easy, Rasheen.
Well, I got it easy now, so when I have to run again and next year, I'm sure I have many people coming out. So I'm just blessed that my colleagues in the 78th District Committee, people nominated me. No Republican or Libertarian committee person nominated anybody. So I got lucky this go around, but in 2020, I'm going to just keep staying out there because I know they all going to come after me.
And let me give Rasheen a little shout out. If no one has shared his stuff on your page or really reached out, me and Rasheen, we have a special bond because we are both amputees and we attend everybody's thing. We are out here. We have a lot of energy. So the least you could do, and I'm not talking about myself right now, I'm just talking about him because he's like my brother, but share his stuff, promote him, tell people to vote November the 5th. This man works hard.
Yes,
he has a disability. So I gotta shout him out because, you know, sometimes we just need a little bit of, and people, it's free to push share.
And he keep moving.
It's free to push share.
Before
Push share on your Facebook page.
Before I even knew he had a disability, I just thought he had a real cool walk. That's
yeah, but that's
I was like,
my
for real?
bro.
Because he's everywhere.
They better share his stuff because
I
he everywhere.
I gotta keep going.
I'm sorry, but I had to. Say that. And that's it. I'm done now.
All right. Well, let's get moving. Oh, I guess we have Trish Gunby.
Trish Gunby
running for 99th House District in a special election on Tuesday. We also have Elad Gross here running for Attorney General in 2020.
So cute. This is super cute.
And of course, we have our co-host Rasheen. So,
yes.
How about let's just get into it. We have our first guest here, Trish
Good
Gunby.
morning.
Thank you for
running for 99th House District.
waking up this morning so early with us.
Our next state rep in the 99th.
There you go.
Yeah, I was already up. My dad's on an honor flight, landing in Washington, D.C., World War II Korean vet.
Wow.
Wow, that's special.
Getting to tour around today. So we were up early in my house, but happy to be here.
Great. Want me to go into the questions? All right, Trish. I love your name.
Thank you.
And I love mention your slogan. Trish.
Oh, Trish to Jeff.
I
Trish
love
to
it.
Jeff.
I like that.
That's right.
It gets a little
Jeff.
confusion. Like, is she going out with Jeff? I've had to be. It's like, no, they mean Jeff City.
That's
but
right.
I corrected them. So.
That's right.
All right. What does the 99th House District include? Like, what cities?
If you can kind of visualize the intersection of Manchester Road and Highway 141,
Okay.
so a little bit north of that intersection,
Okay.
and extends all the way through Manchester and Valley Park, just south of Highway 44. The easternmost boundary is Weidman, Carmen Road, and the westernmost is Sulphur Springs, a little bit of Baxter Road.
Okay.
That's where we are.
What's the demographic breakdown in your district?
You know, it's an interesting district. It's the largest minority, surprisingly, is Asian.
Okay.
And we have quite a bit of, there's a St. Louis Chinese Gospel Church. We have a mosque in the district. There's a Hindu temple just north of the district. A large working class population. Those with post-secondary education. We have seen the district, it's turning over. I know when I was in a couple of the parades, Manchester Valley Park had parades. You see a lot more diversity than I used to see when I was growing up in that area in terms of families of color. There's young folks moving in, a lot of older families that have loved the area. It's a great place to live, so they've decided to stay. So it's really kind of a mix.
Okay.
And with the different faith traditions, that kind of adds to the flavor.
Okay.
Well, tell us this. What made you decide to run? And you know, just sort of to give you sort of an idea of what I'm thinking about, you know, of course, the former representative from that district, Gene Evans, resigned and is now executive director of the Republican Party, the Missouri Republican Party, right?
Right.
Okay, so how did you get the nomination from the party? I mean, there's got to be a whole lot of sort of politics that go on just for something like that to even happen.
Well, you know, surprisingly, when Jean resigned on February 4th, people reached out to me. I started getting text messages and emails to run because I had been active in things in the district, through the school district, through my church, community events, that sort of thing, but was doing voting rights work in the region. And so when Jean resigned, people started reaching out and saying, I think you need to run for this. And we had to wait for the governor to call a special election. He did not do that till April. But I just kind of started running as the Democratic candidate right after she resigned. I kind of started meeting folks, finding out what was important to people in the district, and prepared myself for when the Democratic committee people did sit down and decide who they were going to nominate. I was the only person who showed up.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Well, before we go to break, Trish, tell us real quick what campaigning has been like, and then we're going to take a little bit break.
Okay. It's been wonderful. I can't think of anything I would trade it for in terms of, it's just been a great experience. I would absolutely do it again. And I will be doing it again next year.
Oh, yeah. I hear that. You said this, you're not one and done. You going in.
Yeah, that's right. No, if I'm running no matter what, either as an incumbent or I'm running again.
I heard that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go
Drop
to break.
the mic, Trish. Drop the mic.
We're going to go to break, and thank you for tuning in here to listen to Trish Gunby and our future Attorney General. We will be back. I'm small, but not that small. All right. You want to bring us in? Thanks. You want to bring us in?
Yeah, I'll bring us in.
Okay.
Then I'll give them.
Since you got the next one.
Yeah. Trish is keeping her answers short.
No, we good.
So we make a good
I think
time.
we're good. I was thinking I was
make
going to
a
have
really
to.
good time.
Then what after
Then
Teona?
Rasheen is you are ask your questions. And then we'll figure out when it gets to what me and him saying if we're going to. Because these are questions that he's asking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You have
I
your
want
own
him to
questions.
be. Yeah, I want him to be a part of this. I
Yeah.
threw a couple in there, and just say it how you say it.
I just don't get personal baseball, but I guess. Good
I'll take care of that.
morning!
I'll take care of that.
Yes,
Thanks for joining us.
What you how you doing?
I'm here. Clark's listening.
I do feel somewhere around the
M.O.
That is
just
your
hopped
crown?
in.
in here.
Yes.
Rosetta's the hardest working woman in the game, boy. She makes it happen. I don't know, Rosetta. She gets it done.
Chill out, man. Chill out.
She is.
We gotta shout Rosetta out on the radio now, because I've worked with her because I know
It's
how
like a
awesome
2-minute break.
she is.
Amazing.
So we gotta show her. I gotta shout you out, Rosetta.
3-minute breaks? Like 3 minutes?
You shouldn't have walked in. You
That's
shouldn't have
it.
been there. Gonna shout you out.
Apparently.
20 seconds. 20 seconds.
I'm good. I was sitting in the parking lot on the phone call. So.
What do you say?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. That's what we got left? 20 seconds.
20
Oh, you got 15 seconds now.
Got it.
I think it's like, that was 10 seconds.
I can multitask. Ask some of my friends.
I know you can write them out, and then I don't know what else.
We're back. Okay. We are back.
You're back.
Good morning. Thank you for everyone that got up this morning again. Let me shout out. We got Rosetta in the house. Rosetta is Trish's campaign manager. Rosetta is the bomb. I've worked with Rosetta before. She is a very hard worker. So I just wanted to mention Rosetta. And
What's
if
up,
you are
Rosetta?
running for office, you want to hit her line up.
Most definitely.
All right, so let me give you your crown, Trish. This is your crown for queening into next week. We are sending you into next week queening because that's what we do. You can clip that onto your little hair there. It has a beret on the bottom. And you just clip that on. You go into next week queening. We have crowns for Rasheen because he's going to go into next week kinging.
I like that.
And we have one for you too, Elad.
Oh, wow.
Get over here. So
Thanks.
we're going to get their crowns on. And at the end, we're going to blow our horns. We have Superman horns here, but Rasheen said he is the
Black Panther.
of the set. So I bought Superman, the crown of the new Superman. But we're gonna
Just so y'all know, I didn't go get all that stuff. She got she did.
I sure did, because I want her to go in with full energy. They need to go into with full energy next week.
Regalia.
There you
Yes.
go.
So, Trish, why do
Yes.
you believe you're the better candidate?
Well, first of all, I believe I have been doing the work that led me to this place. I believe that the Republican Party had to go look for somebody to run for this seat.
Gotcha.
People reached out to me to run because I've been doing the work
That's
the last few years. As I've mentioned, I've been active in Parkway Schools for over 20 years. At the local level, the district level, was very active and am very active at my church, Manchester United Methodist. Most recently had been social justice coordinator there, was in charge of Neighborhood Watch in my subdivision, and was also doing work with the St. Louis Area Voter Coalition group around the region. And so I was doing this work, and when this opportunity arose, people reached out to me and said, I think this is your next chapter. And the more I talked to people and discovered what was involved, I decided I think this is my next chapter. I'd been doing advocacy work at the Capitol with different groups and felt like now I can step in and be a legislator and actually, legislate.
Great.
So that's why.
Great.
Yeah.
Rasheen, you're up.
Yeah, so Trish, what issues are most passionate about in your area that you think your constituents really care about? Is it like healthcare? Is it gun violence? Is it raising wages? What do you think the most passionate issue is in your area?
You know, we hear a lot of different things at the door. I think people just have a sense that things are a little crazy in Jeff City and wants a sense of civility. Are looking for people to want to sit down and dialogue with one another. And so they're wanting more of a less extremist attitude that's sort of taken over our capital at this point. So that's really one of the first things people talked about is asking me if I'm crazy to run, because it feels like it's crazy there. I mean, no joke. Really, the whole issues thing is sort of secondary. But now that we've been through the district a number of times and have really gotten a little bit deeper with folks, you find out that they just want to maintain a good quality of living like any neighborhood or community wants. There is concern about gun violence, but to be honest, we're, compared to what's going on in other neighborhoods, that's not something that we struggle with like other neighborhoods. So I just want to recognize that, we are not in a place where many neighborhoods are. However, we want the whole region to do better and be better, and that's why we really need to come together and figure out how we can make that happen. So there's a Moms Demand Action group that has started there. I'm passionate about voting rights. I think that's the great equalizer. We should do everything we can in the state to make it easier for people to vote, not harder. And so those are things that I'm passionate about.
That actually is great to lead me into my next question. So in the St. Louis region, we got a lot of underserved communities, a lot even in my district. So what would you commit to doing to make sure we help those underserved communities in the St. Louis region?
Well, I think you just need to build relationships, and one thing that I've realized, my church and a lot of churches out in the West County area, they have this sense of we want to help folks, we want to give things to folks. I think there's ways that you can kind of go in, and you really need to empower communities to lift themselves up. There comes a point where it's all about giving those communities the ability to do what they need to do, what's best for their community. We don't need to come in and tell people what they need to do. We need to build a relationship and find out how we can help you, not telling those communities what they need to do, because they know the best that what needs to be done. So I think a lot of it is getting folks to feel like they can get to know those people in that community and not keep it, we're out here in West County, we do our thing, you do your thing, and we don't come together. We've got to figure out ways to build relationships, and that's bringing people together and listening to what those communities need, not telling them what they need.
Okay. Well, I was watching the podcast. I guess it's still a podcast. This Week in Politics.
Mm-hmm.
From
I
this,
DVR it every
did you really?
week.
Well, I was watching that because I got nothing better to do. So I was watching that, and ended up listening to something from Representative Tracy McCreary, who is the 88th House District.
Tracy's a good person. I know Tracy.
Yeah, so she had something a little interesting to say about your campaign, sort of where it is right now. So I guess can we get that clip real quick?
Well, that race truly is a toss-up, but I think the momentum is on the side of the Democrat, Trish Gunby. She has had an amazing response at the door. She's been going door to door. She's doing everything she needs to do. But more importantly, I think that these races like this and these 50-50 districts are a litmus test as far as this Missouri has super Republican majorities in both chambers, and I think this race is going to be in the 99 is going to be a litmus test for how the voters feel about the Republican agenda.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get to my question. With your district being split Democratic and Republican, voting for both Gene Evans, the Republican, for the seat that you're actually running for right now, and also voting for Claire McCaskill, a Democrat, in 2018 for Senate, do you think that your district really is a litmus test for the state of Missouri, and maybe even the country to some extent?
I think I also want to mention that Nicole Galloway won that.
Oh, she did.
Yes, she did in the midterms as well. So it has been trending blue, and I think it's a litmus test for possibly suburban districts. When we're at the doors, when I'm at the door, people do not realize the number of closeted Democrats in suburban areas.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I always hear, there's a lot of folks in West County and certain parts of the county that are fervent, Democrats, but they're like, I don't want to sign in my yard because I don't want to have to argue with my neighbors.
And that's very true. And so the thing that we found is when we get to the door, I get asked immediately, or early on. Now they kind of know who I am because signs are everywhere in my face. But I get asked, are you a Democrat? I was asked, are you a Democrat or Republican? The minute I said Democrat, they'd say, done, I'm voting for you. Part of the thing is we have not really had a competitive race in that district in terms of a Democratic candidate who had the infrastructure, the funding, that kind of thing. I have that, got a great team. I've been pretty good at fundraising. And so we have a lot of folks on board to make this happen, have had a great program of door knockers who have been out for months. We've been through the district 6 times.
Woo.
Because there's still people who don't, even as a month ago, did not know that there was an election coming up. So people are definitely starting to put signs out now. They're like, I'm done. I want people to know what I think, and I believe this is the right thing to do. So I believe we can win it. Yeah.
So your Republican opponent, Lee Ann Pittman, we normally don't say the name, but I'll say the name.
You said it, I didn't say it.
Well, I'm just saying, you put it in a, come on, Bill, don't do that. Is trying to connect you to Steve Steger.
And that's not good. You don't want that.
No, and it's the House Republican Campaign Committee. I encourage everybody. We've had upwards of 20 mailers mailed out on this race. So I encourage everybody to read who pays for those mailers. They're not all me, they're not all my opponent, but there has been an attempt made to connect me with him and Better Together, and I have emails from back in the spring before he was indicted that said I was not a proponent of his or the Better Together plan, and so they're basically trying to find what little they can and try to make a big deal about it. So not for that program. I am for the Board of Freeholders. I would hope that the city would be able to get their nominees together so that process can move forward as a group. So I want to see what that group finds out and then shares with us, and then I will weigh in. And that's what I want to see happen, is people go through the process. But I was not a fan of Stenger or Better Together at all.
You kind of answered my next question. We know that Better Together's it was a big issue on the state level last year, and as we get up there, because you're going to win, I'm sure it'll be an issue again. But what do you think about the whole Better Together plan?
Well, I think first of all, it was funded by a billionaire, and staff was hired, and so that in and of itself is it kind of there's some prejudice around how just the whole process of putting all that together and some bias. So I think all the communities that are part of that discussion need to be involved in some fashion, both the leadership, and the citizenry. I attended one of the meetings that they had when they were rolling it out, and saw the tension and the sense of this is not right. And so I'm hoping the Board of Freeholders takes care of that, but I was very concerned when I saw that the county portion may go ahead and start discussing it without the city portion, because I feel like starting off without everybody at the table, that I have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. So I want to see that process fixed and then move forward.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, we're getting close to a break, but let me go ahead and tee up my next question. Your fundraising, it looks like you're doing better than your Republican opponent by a multiple, but it also looks like the Republican committee has more money on their hands right now. How is money going to be a factor in this race, and where do you think you stand? So, actually, I think do we have a little bit of time? Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead and take a shot at that. We got just maybe like 30 seconds.
Okay, no, I've been trying to raise money for months now and have done a pretty good job with that, able to fund, our own mail program here at the end, and we did some we're on radio right now with some spots. As you mentioned, my opponent, it's all funded by, or the majority is funded by the House Republican Campaign Committee. I don't know how deep their pockets are, but likely deeper than mine. So we don't know who's involved with that organization, and it's a faceless organization that can put a lot of money out against a candidate. So that's what we're up against. I'm doing the best I can, and I think besides that, being at the door and meeting people, that's really what's important, and that's what we're focused on right now.
All right. Now, we understand you have an event this morning at 9 a.m.
I do. So we're going to be out within the hour or so, knocking doors, getting people out to vote on Tuesday, November 5th for Trish Gunby.
I love your energy, Trish.
Well, Trish Gunby, we're going to go to a break. We got just a couple more questions. We'll finish up with you.
We'll let you out the hot
seat. Get back to work.
Yes, we'll let you out the hot seat.
Bill and Teona, Wine About the Region, WGNU 920 AM. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
What's up, buddy?
So we did take like a group picture at the end. So are you staying to the end of the whole radio thing?
Yeah, we got.
Okay. Well, we took one. Maybe we'll get a. Can you send us?
I can take one.
Well, no, we like do one like. Oh, if you want to take a few, then that's fine. But we normally do like one standing up at the end. Okay. So, but
I got the selfie. If you want me to
He did a selfie.
So we could use the selfie. Because she has to go before we end.
Yeah.
Take her picture.
She got 20 minutes to drive.
Do I need to stop and get donuts or anything? No.
They're setting up right now.
Oh, they are.
That's who I was on the phone with.
What time are people supposed to come today?
Well, I don't know when those union folk are going to show up.
We've got a bunch of union folks who are. It's great that they come out.
They're coming when they
tend to move to their own.
Yep.
We can tell them when we're going to be there, but that doesn't really matter.
I have keys to the building. It's very strange. Yeah. So whenever they come.
Yeah. So we kind of have to corral them.
Skedaddle.
Maybe we can have X take one. Like he takes us sitting down here. You want to have him do that? Well, where did he go? I guess he'll be back.
Keep that stuff.
Can I take this?
Of course.
Yeah,
you're queening.
Of course.
You're going into next. Kelly Dunaway got her queen. Ask her about her. Here go Hazel saying, I wear my crown. I'm like, good, Hazel. I'm glad you wear your crown.
I didn't even know they make them with it.
I gave Retta one. Yeah. Everybody has their
crowns. One of these like under my braid or something. You have to have their
crowns. And so you take a picture like you take of us sitting because she has to leave before we take our group photo. And let me do my phone like this since everybody always
it's blurry.
Stuff. Yeah.
Make sure it's clean.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Look up, guys.
All right, you want to get in here, Eli?
Should I move it?
Come on,
This is like
yeah.
what we have.
It's like one of
Real
you.
quick, we'll take our picture, what our back looks like.
All right, hurry up because the music's playing.
We've got to hurry up.
1, 2, 3.
Babe.
1, 2, 3.
Bill, you're not looking.
Good. 1, 2, 3.
I'm looking at the engineer.
Okay. We're good.
We're back.
Are we back? We are back. We are back
We're back.
here with Trish Gunby running for House District 99.
Next state rep.
That's right.
Claim it.
That's right. You got to believe it to conceive it.
Win, win, win.
All we do is win, win.
That's what we're All right, Trish. On your website, it says that you are social justice coordinator for the Manchester United Methodist Church. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Well, tell us what social justice means to you, because that's something that's very important to us. I mean, voting rights, gun violence issues, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, things of that nature. So what does social justice mean to you, generally?
I think it's just one of the things we did at the church. This was a new ministry that got started. I helped birth it as a lay person, and we actually reached out to the congregation, and they voted on the issues that they wanted to focus on. And so we voted to learn more about and engage in ways that we could help the issues around gun violence, LGBTQ inclusion, health and poverty in the U.S., hunger and poverty in the U.S., racial justice. So those were issues that we as a congregation said we need to learn more about, and then we need to actively be involved in ways that we can reduce gun violence, improve racial justice, help with hunger and poverty, include LGBTQ persons. So for me, it's an educational component. As somebody who obviously is not a minority, I'm a white, privileged woman, and I have been
Good
obviously.
you recognize that, Trish. It's great.
So it's one of those things that I have a lot of learning to do. That will never end for me, and I think a lot of us just need to realize we need to just keep our mouths shut, and we just need to listen to what is needed in those communities and then step up. And so that to me is, it's really moving outside your comfort zone. That's big for a lot of, I think, people like myself. If you are comfortable, then you're not doing anything.
I understand that.
So
I
you
heard
need
that.
to constantly feel the tension and feel like I need to be doing more. So that's what my hope is.
Okay, but that's beautiful. That sounds great to
Beautiful.
me.
It's like a violin player.
I know,
when she
right?
talks. It's like a violin.
Now, I did a thing last week. I kind of surprised
He got his
everybody.
goofy stuff.
I got
now. He
something.
getting ready to get goofy on you now.
Well, no, it's just one. Yeah, it's a personal question. What we want to
It's
try to
fine.
do
It's
is to have the listeners, feel like they walk away with something where they feel a little closer to you. They know a little bit more about you.
Okay.
Something personal. So here's something personal for you. You'll get where I'm going with this. Okay, so when you go to a baseball game and it's the Cardinals versus the Cubs, who buys the beer? And you know why I'm asking.
I know. I have a wonderful husband who happens to be from Chicago.
There you go.
I
There we go.
know. I know. That's his only flaw. I will say that he always roots for the Cardinals except when they play the Cubs, and then he brings out all his blue gear.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's a really good person, and that's the one thing I overlooked when I agreed to marry him.
All right.
Or he agreed to
You
marry
still
me.
didn't say who buys the beer though.
Oh,
Trish, thank you
does.
for coming on our show today.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you
Trish.
so
Thank
much.
you all.
Get out there, you
Thank
hit
you.
the Lord, and you go out there queening with your crown, and you just know we're sending you into next week with a win.
thank
We're
you.
excited.
I feel the love. I
We're
feel the love.
excited.
Thank
Well,
you all.
unfortunately, Trish can't stick around with us, but all prayers
We wish
to
she
you.
could.
She's getting out on them
But
doors.
Rosetta has spoken, and I definitely know how that is when she speaks.
All
So
right.
do your thing, girl.
Will do. Thank you all. Appreciate
Good
it.
luck this
Good
Tuesday,
morning.
Trish.
Thank you, Trish. All right.
Next.
Well, we are going to now go to our next guest, who happens to be running for the enormous office of Attorney General for the state of Missouri. Woo. Mr. Elad Gross.
But he looks so young. So young.
He's moving to the mic.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you call
Can
him
I see your
earlier?
driver's license, please? No.
You
I got it. I always gotta carry
Get
it.
that man up.
You know I gotta carry it.
What'd you call
You
him?
know I
Leave
gotta
it to
carry it.
Beaver.
Leave it
He's
to
so
Beaver. That's the
cute.
You the first one.
Now look,
I got other things. I have
Kathy
to-
Ellis was Jill Cleaver. So now I have a Jill Cleaver, and then we've got Leave It to
We gonna
Beaver.
Yeah.
We're making a big mark here.
Yeah, so
But
like-
that's good that
Okay.
you look so young.
Yeah.
They always tell me that, so hopefully when I'm in my, they're like, you're so young.
Yeah,
So like when I'm in my
right.
40s, I'm still only
Well,
Hey, I'm
you
in
know,
my
like, yeah.
40s,
I'm
going
voting-
on 43.
You still look
2
like
weeks.
you're 21.
2 weeks, Bill.
Looking good.
Wow.
Going down.
Good. Almost congratulations.
There you go.
Happy birth month.
That's
I got some. I got
That's
some.
an attorney for you. It's not true till it's true.
That's why you gotta couch it. You know?
Kevin Fitzgerald loves you, and that's
Oh,
made
Kevin's
me
wonderful.
start watching you. 'cause
Kevin's wonderful.
Kevin
Kevin is wonderful.
Kevin's
loves you.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Kevin
So
Fitzgerald.
Shout
I'm
out.
like, okay, Kevin, maybe
Yeah.
I'll check your little friend out. That's what I got to the side of saying. All right, this boy is awesome.
Elad's the
That was
man.
great. Thanks, Rasheen. You're the man
Okay.
too.
Ah,
I see you working.
I'm just
All
trying
Yeah.
to get
right.
I can't wait. I can't
Elad.
wait. I'm so excited.
For our viewers,
Yes.
what does the Attorney General do?
Oh boy.
Let's get right into
Yeah.
it.
So
why should we care?
Yeah,
why
well,
do
we
we
should.
care
We
about
really
you?
should. It's one of the most important positions in our state. I used to be an assistant attorney general of Missouri, so I worked there for quite a bit, had a whole lot of cases, was in charge of a whole bunch while I was there. The attorney general is involved in so much, and I think the most important role that the attorney general plays is ensuring that our government is held accountable to us. So the attorney general is supposed to represent all of us. And there's supposed to be these checks and balances we learn about all the time in school. That's the most important role that the Attorney General plays, is making sure that our government is actually responsive to the needs of the people. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that's involved in that. Consumer protection is really important. Representing folks all over the state. I think that the Attorney General should be particularly involved in the violence epidemic that we're seeing in our state. And I really appreciate that you all are going to be doing a show on that. I actually had a kid of mine, and Rasheen, I'm sure you know, but I've run a summer program for a number of years in St. Louis City. And this past year, one of my 7-year-olds was killed in his backyard the day before he was supposed to start 2nd grade. And I mean, over the 13 years that I've been working with kids, I haven't seen much change. Like, you hear about a program that's going to come in, and we have a lot of hopes, but at the end of the day, we haven't changed the structures that are keeping these kinds of issues in place. And I feel very strongly that the Attorney General should be involved, especially when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to reducing violence, when it comes to making sure that our justice system works for everybody, and that we have a true justice system in Missouri. So,
Okay.
a lot of issues that the Attorney General
Well,
touches on.
so of course, like you said, you are a former Attorney General. So tell the I'm sorry, a former
Assistant, yes.
Assistant Attorney
Correct,
General.
yes.
So tell the folks kind of what that
Yeah.
means. What does that entail? People want to know
Yeah.
kind of what are your qualifications
Right.
aside from being an attorney.
Right.
And looking like you're
Yeah.
8 years old.
Yeah, well, I'll give you it. Now, if you go look at Jack Danforth, when he ran for Attorney General, I'm older than him when he was
Okay.
running for Attorney
Okay,
General.
great.
But if you look at him, it looks like he should have been in high school at the time,
Okay.
too. But he overcame it, he won.
Okay.
So the assistant, there's a bunch of assistant attorneys general all over the state in different offices. There are 5 of them in the state. And you are assigned, depends, but you're assigned usually a docket of cases. My first day on the job, I was assigned about 1,300 cases, and I was responsible for them. That was that was quite a load.
Wow.
Eventually, I shifted over from doing more of these administrative cases for workers' compensation. I ended up taking over federal and state jury trials and appeals. So I did cases all over the state, different courts all over the state, and that was really exciting. But I was in charge of the busiest docket in the state of Missouri during my time in what was called the litigation division. So I was responsible for all aspects of that case, preparing everything and representing the people of Missouri. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I've been knowing you for a while. You've been
Yeah.
doing a lot of great work in the community. But why Attorney General? Why did you decide to run for the big AG side?
Yeah. I think that maybe you could tell from the beginning, but I'm pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm pretty frustrated with where our state is right now.
Okay.
And having worked there, I saw so much potential for the Attorney General to do so much in all of our lives and actually make our state work for us. I was arguing in court in October of last year. I was arguing in court against this dark money spending in our state. And I had sued an organization that had brought in millions of unmarked, hidden dollars into our political system. And while I was in court, I argued, we should have transparency. They're taking public tax benefits, all of these things. My opposing counsel said, well, Your Honor, at any time, the Attorney General could come into this courtroom, could investigate this organization, could shut it down if he wants to. Mr. Gross is just a member of the public, and the public has no right to any of this transparency. And I disagreed, and also decided to run for Attorney General at that point, because we do need an Attorney General who's doing his job, and today we don't. And I've been recruiting folks all over our state to run for office for the last few years, and at that moment, I was like, well, are you going to stand up or not? And so I decided that it was too important not to. And so I've been running ever since. It's been over a year now.
Well, that's great. Bill knows sometimes I get a little bit off script.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, where are you with the support of Wesley Bell and Kim Gardner? Have you been in touch? Are they behind you?
Yeah.
What are you looking like with?
So I've been talking to prosecutors, not just them, but all over the state.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm involved in some litigation with the city right now. Actually, I think it's fortunately. So when I left the Attorney General's office, I served as a special public defender for the state of Missouri, and I volunteered in that position. I represented an 18-year-old girl who had been locked in the workhouse for 7 months for a crime that she did not commit. The police record even indicated from eyewitnesses she was there and didn't do anything, everything that was very consistent with what she told police when she was first arrested. She was never given an attorney. I found out that the case had been dismissed 15 days before I ever met her. And she should not have been in that jail at all, but we ended up suing the city, so you can't really talk to all of the defendants when you do that after a while. So,
well, we're going to elaborate on that then. I just wanted to know if you had been in touch.
Yeah, absolutely in touch, yes.
And what is dark money?
Dark money is the worst. It consists of anonymous campaign contributions that are being used to buy our state government without us knowing who is doing the buying or where they're from.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're about to hit a break right now. On the other side of that, I believe our
Rasheen's going to bring us back in.
Exactly, Rasheen will bring us back in. Our guest host
Candidate. You wear multiple hats.
He's
right?
got
I
them.
do.
Yeah. He's got 2 crowns. You need to get him 2 of them.
Well, this one is yours.
Bill and Teona, Wine About the Region 90, WGNU 920 AM. We'll be right back.
Anything you want to say to the listeners real quick?
One more again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
but
turn around
he
and
said
go.
go, and then
Are
you
you
like,
Anything you just want to say?
I'm excited to be here. Hey,
Right,
if
like
you're
you said,
watching
I
this
gotta
right
go
now, you better be supporting
Yeah,
Rasheen to make
okay,
sure he
okay,
gets
I gotta-
elected, because I'm gonna need an office to crash in whenever I go across the street. So you make sure to get him over there. Good guy, and I'm so happy to be here right now.
And this guy, my door will always be open for this guy.
I'm like, did you open that?
He's also going to be my personal lawyer. Never know what happens. But no.
Yeah, right.
What we do? You just live. You just live.
I
Oh, you
just
getting
live.
any questions? See, our live ain't jumping
Anybody-
today. Is it?
Anybody got any
Last
questions
week
for
people
Eli?
said-
Take any, yeah.
General?
Whatever questions you got.
Is anybody talking or asking?
We just all we have is Kathy. Oh, actually, we got Beth Newman. She said, "Great to see 3
I can't
Democrats."
hear you.
Beth Newman said, "Great to
Beth.
see 3 great Democratic candidates."
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Trish,
Morning,
Rasheen,
everybody.
and Elad.
Yeah.
Good morning. Wake up. With Wine in
Gabriella
the
and
region with
Thacker.
Tiana and Bill.
She said, "Love that baseball question."
See?
It's tough. I've got that same situation right now. My fiance's a Cubs fan, and it's tough.
All right, and just so you know, we still have a pretty good amount of questions.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to kind of just
I
keep
got
it
you.
tight.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you got my yes or no. Yeah.
'Cause this
Do
is
cross
my
examination.
Yeah, this is our last segment. It's about 12 minutes, right?
Okay.
12
I hit
minutes.
you with some dark money. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I got dark money. Ain't nothing wrong with having dark money now. Just
Yeah,
saying.
some people just think dark money is when you've had it in your pocket a long
Right,
time
that's
and it's
not-
just been dark. It's just darker. I don't know.
Shane, you gonna bring us in, all right?
All right, I got you.
You fit, Rasheen. We have to bring Rasheen in more often.
Anytime.
Good.
I have no doubts.
He's
Good.
good.
Anytime y'all need a co-host, she ain't been here
No
ready.
doubt.
Now, Retta's coming in the day after my birthday because that Saturday I won't be here.
Okay.
You got it.
Where we about to go?
Welcome back. We are Teona and Bill Wine in the region. We have Elad here, who's going to be running for Attorney General. I got a question for you. So
Yes.
we was just talking about dark money. Why are you so concerned about dark money in Missouri politics?
Well, there's a whole lot of it in Missouri politics, and we've seen the impact of it. So we don't know who's donating, right? That's the problem with this dark money. It's oftentimes in the millions of dollars, but we actually just saw from our Attorney General that he just took $10,000 in dark money from some organization. I had no idea what it was. Well, an investigative reporter figures out, and it actually came from a corporation that the Attorney General was investigating for $7 million in tax fraud. And he ends up settling with that organization for about less than $300,000. It involved Paul McKee, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Paul McKee.
Yes. And so we can't see that money is coming from a group that the Attorney General is supposed to be investigating. And that all of a sudden makes us ask about conflict of interest, all of these issues, who is he representing? And I think that's a very big issue that the people of Missouri deserve to know. We deserve transparency.
Okay. Okay, you've been real active and aggressive. So tell us about the lawsuits. Like, you have literally sued the state of Missouri.
Yes.
You sued the governor.
Yeah.
as well as the dark money group. I mean, you came in with a bang. Tell us about the lawsuits.
Yeah, and I've been involved in these lawsuits since well before I was running for anything. I sued, I think I mentioned already, the dark money nonprofit that was funneling a whole bunch of money into our state. And as part of that investigation into dark money, I asked the governor for any records of communications between his office and this dark money, all of these people involved. Well, lo and behold, there were over 13,000 records. They refused to give them to me unless I spent over $3,600 and waited at least 6 months. I thought that was wrong. I thought that was a violation of Missouri Sunshine Law. I asked them to change their mind, to offer those records to the public. They refused. The Attorney General refused to pick up that investigation. It's his responsibility to do that. He wouldn't, so that leaves private citizens to have to carry that into court. And so I've been litigating that case in support of our Sunshine Law ever since, and this has been going on for more than a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The current Attorney General, Eric Schmidt, won't investigate dark money.
No, he will not.
What do you think about that?
I think that's wrong. And I think we need a new Attorney General.
What's on you?
So are you trying to say that he is bought and paid by these dark money groups that you want to investigate him?
Well, I think you guys should have him on the show.
Oh,
You should
wow.
ask him.
Let's do it, Bill.
You know,
Let's call.
Let's do
This is
it.
a great show. You should definitely be on.
All right, Eric. We'll reach out.
Yeah, I think you should ask. I think that, like I said, there's some indications that there are some significant issues regarding conflict of interest in that office, and I expect in the next couple of days that we'll be releasing some information about that as part of an investigation I've been doing. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So how does clarify this for me?
Yeah.
How does dark money differ from corporate money?
Mm-hmm.
And is it better or worse for our political system in Missouri?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of corporate money either in the political system. And on this campaign, we have refused to take dark money, corporate money, or big money. There are oftentimes PACs that people start to get around campaign contribution limits that we all voted on as citizens in 2016 during that election. But dark money can actually come from any source. We just don't know what that source is. At least with corporate money, we see the name of that corporation. We can figure out what these people might want. But with dark money, we have no idea. And there's been some questions about money coming in from illegal sources like foreign sources into elections as well. That's one way that can happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the former Attorney General for the state of Missouri was, of course, Josh Hawley.
Yes.
Before he became a senator.
Right.
Okay. Now,
very briefly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and we've read stories, but tell us about the wreckage that I hear has been left in Josh Hawley's former Attorney General's office. I hear that there's, some extraordinary talent that have just even left that office.
That's
because
accurate.
of the wreckage.
That's correct. Yeah, I wasn't there during his time. I left shortly before him, but. A lot of attorneys did leave that office, a lot of very talented people who were involved in public service. Thank goodness they were left. And I mean, you can just look at some of the changes that Eric Schmidt made when he first came in. There were quite a few, and I think that's because that office was not really working very well for the people of the state. I still think it's not, and we need even more changes and bolder changes right now. But there was quite a bit of destruction in the Josh Hawley wake, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, speaking of changes, the AG office can do a lot, and I know you talked about gun violence earlier. So what are some changes when you're elected that you would like to bring to that office?
Yeah, and we're actually, I think, the first campaign for Missouri Attorney General that's actually releasing detailed plans well before we actually get there so that folks can see what they're voting on. Not just, I think that guy looks cute or like
You're very cute.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. So if you do want to, you still got it.
I'm voting for him because he's cute. Watch out. Okay.
We've got some pretty detailed plans. We're going to be releasing an anti-violence plan that I've been working on for months now with a whole bunch of different folks. But one of the big things that we need to do in that office is we need to start prosecuting public corruption. And we need to seriously do that. I also think that we need a civil rights division in the office.
Ooh.
We don't have one.
Yes.
Many attorney general's offices around the country do, but unfortunately Missouri does not have a fully staffed civil rights division that's ensuring that we're protecting everybody's rights in the state. So I think we're going to be making some significant changes in that office.
Okay.
But certainly we've got a lot of great people who are still there and a lot of great people who have left who would like to come back. If we're able to make this happen.
Okay.
So we're going to make it happen, and we're going to get to serving the people of the state.
What are your biggest policy goals, and what's different about your campaign, Elad?
Yeah, so I think a lot of these are some very big policy ones. I think our anti-violence program or plan is actually going to come out with a lot of these issues all kind of combined. Civil rights division, like I mentioned too, and absolutely bringing accountability back to Jefferson City. But this campaign is pretty different. We are very focused on making sure that the people's voices are heard in this campaign. So we have citizen advisory boards that anybody can join and provide advice on our campaign, all these different topics and everything else. I have traveled over 30,000 miles so far in less than a year. We've held over 260 meetings in the state of Missouri.
Do you have a website or a way someone can get in touch with you if they're like, I like him. He looks just like Beaver to Beaver. I'm in. I'm going to help him.
No, we've got a website. It's my name, Elad, E-L-A-D, Gross, Gross.org. If you can't remember that for some reason, my first name is like Dale backwards, right? Dale. Okay? Last name is like disgusting. So if you go to daledisgusting.org, you will still get there. I promise you. But I'm going to do something else. Something that I do a lot everywhere I go. I give out my cell phone because some people like texting their ideas or whatever else it is. So I'm going to do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm going to do it right now. My cell phone number, it's in my pocket. And if you want to try it, I've had people do it. You can text me right now. It is 314-753-9033. And I want you to text me your ideas. 314-753-9033. Hey, by the way,
never done that on One About the Region.
Well, now, hey, look, you know what? We're gonna break some barriers over here, all right? We're gonna make it happen.
Well,
Pioneering.
Let me ask you this: like in the St. Louis region, I think we're unique in a lot of ways. We have a president who's under impeachment. We had a governor resign a couple years ago.
We did that.
We have a county executive that's in jail.
We're a mess.
Suck.
What can you do to help the confidence in government, especially in the St. Louis region? Because right now we are suffering.
Why should we call your cell phone? I got your number.
Yes, this question is the one, and it's so sad that I get it, right? Because so many people have lost hope in our system. They've seen that it hasn't served them. They've heard people talk like how I'm talking, and they're like, nothing has changed.
Right.
Why do I even vote? Well, I'm going to tell you what. I agree with you. I do. I
That's
totally
why you
do.
should vote,
I
because
totally
you
do.
agree.
But I think you should look. I'm going to come visit. Like that's why I give out my cell phone. I want you to call me, and I want you to hold me accountable too. Like I want you to know where I'm at. But we are running the most transparent campaign in America. We show you where we're spending our money, where our money is coming from. We have all of these plans on the website. We get your voice involved. We have folks from all parties who are working on this campaign, and folks of no parties who are working on it. So I really, really encourage you to check out what we're doing, check out my background, and I think my track record is one that indicates we're going to get this done. And I'm telling you right now, I'm excited about it. So I want to hear from you. So please, hit me up on that cell phone number. I wasn't playing around. Hit me up.
I'm gonna call you now.
Do it. You anytime. You know that. Yeah.
We are wrapping
Okay,
things
what's
up.
happening?
All right,
We're
so-
going into the next week with energy. Get your questions.
Yeah,
We're
so
gonna blow these.
yeah, we're going to wrap up in a second, but I do want to ask
Okay.
you something real quick that's sort of been in the news.
Right after you gave me this little blowy.
And I want your first response to this.
Okay, yes.
Track this, Randy.
Track this unemployment check. That guy's got to go.
I heard that.
Oh,
Oh
my
my
God,
God.
I love
Time to
it.
resign.
We'd like to
He's gotta
thank
go.
you. We would like to thank Elad, Trish, and our guest host,
Yes,
Rasheen.
yes.
I'm so glad I got to see Rasheen before he becomes a state representative because I'm probably it's going to be so hard to get in
Of
touch with
course
him.
not.
I
We
can
have
help
these
you there.
cards. We're going to go into next week saying good luck to Trish and congratulations to Trish and Rasheen.
And,
Yes.
and Elad again, where can they
What?
find you?
EladGross.org.
All
I
right.
thought
Give me a call.
that made noise.
Oh, here we go.
You gotta make some noise.
Go vote
No
next
confetti.
Tuesday.
Go vote.
Alright.
Go vote.
Go
Go
vote.
vote.
Thank you
Go
all
vote.
who got up
Before-
with us this morning.
Before we close out, again, we want to thank Paul Berry and the great folks here at
Thank you,
WGN
Paul.
920
Thanks,
AM
Paul.
for putting up with us for one more week.
And again, we'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in. We're going to continue to whine about the region because we care. If you have any ideas or topics to interview for the show or interested in advertising or sponsoring the show, message us on Facebook or email us at btwinery@gmail.com.
All right.
Peace.
And we are the only solution to improve our community. Let's go. Let's go.